Hello and welcome back to another episode of Money with Min. And today we're going to be talking about Coast FIRE. For those of you who've been in my channel before, I sometimes talk about FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. But mostly I focus on the first two parts, which is financial independence. And working towards financial independence is a topic I want to talk more about on this channel. So if you want to learn more, definitely hit subscribe and hit that notification bell for future videos just like this one. And when you talk about financial independence, there's a lot of different versions of it, from fat FIRE to lean FIRE to barista FIRE. And what I'm talking about today is Coast FIRE. But before we get into it, remember that financial independence is a monetary goal that is unique for you and your family. It depends on your income level, your investment strategy, your time horizon, and ultimately, it depends on the lifestyle that you want to build, sustain, and maintain for you and your family. But before we get into Coast FIRE, let me explain the other versions of FIRE that are relatively popular in the community. There's one extreme of it, which is called lean FIRE. Now, lean FIRE imagines that you live with a very minimalist lifestyle with not many materials or possessions in this world. You're living a little bit above the poverty line within America, and this roughly equates to having about $40,000 to $60,000 a year. With the lean FIRE lifestyle, you have enough for the basic necessities like housing, food, and the basic essentials. And in theory, $1 million should get you more than enough to last you forever. On the other end of the spectrum, which is fat FIRE, you're living lavishly. You're living with probably $200,000 to $300,000 in income a year, a nice house, vacation, great stuff for your kids and your family. You're living the life with this. But for you to achieve this, you're probably looking to have between $3 and $5 million invested for you to be able to live off on and be fat FIRE. Now, if you're aiming to live the barista FIRE lifestyle, you've already achieved your financial independence number, whether it's lean FIRE, fat FIRE, or somewhere in between, but you're working this job to sustain and maintain the benefits. Now, why it's called barista FIRE is you're looking for a part-time employment that offers you benefits and social outlets, and Starbucks happens to be one of those places. Now let's finally get to Coast FIRE, which is the topic of this video. The way I think about Coast FIRE is that it's a milestone along your financial independence journey. So the way I think about measuring the Coast FIRE milestone, it's at the point of your retirement investment journey where you can stop investing, meaning that you don't have to put a single dollar into the account anymore, and you'll still reach your financial independence goal by the time you're 60 years old. So think about it this way. I've talked about this in my video before, which I'll link up here, but let's say my financial independence number is $2.5 million, meaning by the time I reach that number, I'm technically financially independent. So what do you think it'll take for me to reach $2.5 million by the time I'm 60? And of course, when I need to solve any of these numbers and do some math, I turn to my spreadsheets. So let's say I wanted to have $2.5 million as my financial independence goal. And let's say I'm turning 40 soon. And the question, like I asked before, is how much do I need invested by the time I'm 40 that I will reach my financial independence number of $2.5 million by the time I'm 60? At this rate, if I'm 40 and I have maybe, let's say, $500,000 in my retirement accounts, and this is totally possible, by the way. Now, how this math is going to work out is it's going to still grow at roughly about 7% over the long term within all of your accounts. And think about this. I'm going to be investing $0 more from this point onwards. What will this result in? This is going to get me to $2.5 million by the time I'm 64. That's not actually what I really want to be at. So I would actually have to jump this up a bit. So with this example of being 40 years old, $500,000, 7%, I'm not quite Coast FIRE because I still need to invest a bit more to be able to reach that number down here. Now let's run some examples from an early age. So let's say in each scenario, your financial independence goal is $2.5 million. At 25 years old, let's say you've amassed about $100,000 in retirement accounts, which is actually quite a lot. So I don't expect a lot of you out there to have reached this. $100,000 with a long-term growth rate of 7% per year. You actually won't reach this financial independence goal until you're 73. No one really wants that. So if you're young, remember to just keep investing often, invest early. And even if you invest even something as low as $500 a month here, this number gets much more reasonable for retirement age. If you're 25 years old and able to save $250,000 by then, again, this is a big amount, but this shows the power of compounding over time. If you're able to have saved $250,000 in retirement accounts by the age of 25, and if you're starting young, maybe this is possible, maybe it's not, but you'll reach $2.6 million by the age of 60, If you do nothing else, $250,000 invested, turning into 10 times that amount over the course of your lifetime if you're able to reach this early. Now let's think about something more realistic, right? At 25, it's pretty hard to amass this amount. But let's say by the time you're 30 and you're able to maybe save $375,000. Now this is doable. This is much more doable. Now let's say by the age 30, you started to learn a bit more about investing, a little bit more about compound interest. And by the age of 30, you're able to have amassed $375,000 in investments, in your retirement accounts, in your Roth IRAs, and you let this money sit, and you let this money grow, you let this money compound. Look what happens. Even if you decide to completely not invest anymore, you can still reach this number by the time you're 59. That's beautiful, right? And let's say you're a little bit older. Let's say you're 35, what this number is. And let's say by the time you're 35, you have about $500,000 invested in retirement accounts, and you invest no more after that. You still reach this number pretty well, right? $2.5 million if you have $500,000 invested in your 401ks by the time you're 35. And you can really step off the brakes, which is what Coast Fire is really about. Now, if you want to check out what your Coast Fire number is, grab a copy of the spreadsheet down below and tinker with the numbers a bit, but really see what it takes and how much you need invested by a certain age to ultimately reach your financial independence goal. So the beauty of Coast Fire within the FIRE community, because it's a milestone, it allows you some options if you're thinking about Coast Fire within this framework. Firstly, Coast Fire requires you to be very diligent and strategic upfront, which means that you're investing a lot of your income, your savings, and diligently putting that money away into retirement accounts and into brokerages and into investments early on to allow that money and compound to take advantage over time. But let's say you want to adopt this strategy and really be diligent about your savings and investing, and you realize that you can reach Coast Fire by the age of 30 or 35, the magic of options open up. There are 3 major options you can then deploy after that point. Option 1, you keep doing what you're doing. If you have a great job, you have a great life, you have a great balance between the two, keep going. Keep investing, keep saving, keep working towards retirement. And what will happen is that your financial independence number will come sooner than you think. Number 2, which is where the Coast and Coast Fire comes from. If you have a high demanding, stressful job, long hours, this is the time to coast, as they say. You can consider pulling back on hours and finding a healthier work-life balance at your current company, or even switch roles or different careers or even different industries to pursue passions, because now having a high income is no longer the primary goal. The third option when you realize you hit Coast Fire is, again, more flexibility. So now instead of having to continually invest as much as you can in your retirements into your brokerages, you can consider increasing your lifestyle for once. And yes, while I talk about managing and controlling your lifestyle creep a lot on this channel, which is very important early on to building your wealth, definitely consider upgrading your lifestyle by maybe 10, maybe 20%. You definitely deserved it. And while it's never the right time to be irresponsible with your money, once you reach Coast Fire, you've proven to yourself that you can be diligent, responsible, and disciplined about money. So this is definitely a time to reconsider where you spend that money, whether it's on yourself, on your family, on your joys, on your passions, your vacations, whatever it is. Now this offers you the time for that flexibility. Hey, that does it for this video. Thanks for watching this long. If you watch this long, that means you're actually very interested in Coast Fire. So let me know your thoughts about Coast down below. And just like any part of FIRE, pursuing your own personal financial independence is one of the keys to achieving ultimate freedom. If you got value out of this video, give it a like down below. And if you want to see more weekly videos about financial independence and how to get wiser with your money, definitely consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.